Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar on email metrics, and it is currently 3 p.m. where I am, so we can start today's webinar, today's event. Okay. So first of all, we just wanted to say and explain what is the reason for today's topic. Why is EmailLabs doing a webinar on open rates, on email metrics? And basically, we are a service that specializes in giving our clients information about the emails that they're sent through our servers. For example, email statuses, but not only bounces and OKs. Also open rates and click-through rates. If you use EmailLabs system, EmailLabs service, and you send through our service your emails, then it is possible for you to track those metrics through our user UX. So to quickly remind everybody, how does it work? How are the emails sent through external services like EmailLabs? Your email generating system is generating an email, then it goes through our servers, through our email API, for example. We try to connect with an ISP, with an email provider like Gmail, like Yahoo, etc. The email is then checked if it's not spam. How is your IP or sender reputation? Do you have a proper list hygiene, and as any other factors that are important in this situation? And then it is either going to the main inbox, to the main folder, it's going to spam, or it is blocked completely and is not delivered to the recipient. And EmailLabs is actually gathering all the information that I mentioned in our panel, especially if the email bounced or if the email was approved by the provider and if it was opened or clicked. And in this picture, you can see the example dashboard of that our client can see. It shows you the email statuses, and the corresponding lines on the graph are different statuses that you can track. And now is the question for you, for our participants. How do you measure the results of email campaigns? I will just leave this question here as an open question. You can always answer during the event, and then we can reconvene and discuss further when there's a Q&A session. And yeah, be sure to just let us know what metrics do you pay attention to, if it's only open rate or maybe some other engagement metric. So what is an engagement rate? What is an engagement metric? It is a percentage value of the rate or the engagement rate that you choose to measure, divided by total emails that were delivered, so the emails that received an OK status. And the engagement is up to you, actually. It's what do you want to measure. So it can be either open rates, it can be clicks, it can be some chosen action performed and measured by you that your recipient performed on the email that you sent. And then obviously you have to multiply it by 100 to get a percentage value. So we have our engagement rate. We chose one metric, we are measuring it, and then we can see that something is wrong. It is maybe going lower, maybe it is suspiciously higher. And then we start to think, what can we do to improve it? To improve it so that it's higher, so that in our opinion, the campaign is more successful. And the first thing that we should do is the email personalization. It can be a name, it can be a name and a surname, a specific email topic. Then we have to segment our contact base basing on the engagement of the users. We also have to, and that's pretty obvious, have a good database hygiene. Let's not send emails to recipients that unsubscribed or that are not active anymore to avoid bounces and spam complaints, and obviously advanced targeting in our email content. Yes, but open rate can be misleading, and it is actually now very misleading. And firstly, I will just quickly remind us all how the open rate is actually calculated. And it is a total number of opened emails, so all of the unique opens, divided by the number of delivered emails, so that messages that that received an OK status, because they have to be properly received to be opened by the recipients. Obviously, times 100 to get the percentage value. And why actually open rates are misleading? The open rate issue is a trend that we can observe from last year. We are all discussing that it is not actually such a good metric anymore. And why is that? Not only Apple, which is the main concern here, but also Gmail and Yahoo are currently using bots and systems and servers to artificially open the emails, so that you are actually never sure that the email was opened by a real person, by your client, by the recipient that you intended. So you don't know if the metric is true or false anymore. And one of the systems that are being used in this situation is Apple Mail Privacy Protection. And it is a service that is offered by Apple to the iCloud users, but also not only to iCloud Mail users, but also to the users of iPads, iPhones, and MacBooks, because you can always connect any other email service provider's inbox to your iPhone, and this option will be available for you. It is not on default. You have to choose to put it on. And what does it do? It actually hides the IP address of the recipient so that the activity cannot be tracked by the sender. So the clicks and opens that you actually see while sending to, for example, iCloud users is probably artificial and fake and made by Apple's proxy server. So this is something to think about while calculating open rates. What's more, what I mentioned previously, Gmail and Yahoo also use bots and their anti-spam filters to artificially click, scan the content, open the emails. So if you see a sudden burst in open rates, it might not be a very good thing. It might be actually the Gmail spam filters being suspicious about you and your sending habits. So this is something also to think about. What else? Some email providers, for example, Microsoft, are choosing not to load the images in the email content immediately after opening it. And sometimes the recipient has to choose to do it manually. And as we know, to track open rates, the thing that is used the most commonly is a tracking pixel, and this is the part of the email content, and it is also an image. So if the images are not loaded immediately, the open metric will not be measured properly and immediately after opening the email. Also, when an email lands in the spam folder, it is, and even if it's opened by the recipient, the opening of the message cannot be always tracked because of the emails of the pictures in the email not being loaded, because they are not always loading in the spam folder, but also the clicks cannot be tracked because the hyperlinks are not working properly when the email is in the spam folder. Yes, and here on this slide we can also see how does Apple Mail's privacy protection actually affect senders. When we are sending to iCloud users, then we should note that A/B testing is not valid in this situation anymore. It can affect the engagement levels, obviously, and all of the chain reactions that base on the message open condition on opening detection will not work properly because it is artificially opened, not by the recipient, but by Apple Mail's privacy protection system. Okay, so if we are not measuring open rates, what are we measuring now? We can always measure click-to-open rate, and how do we do it? We take the number of our unique clicks and we divide it by the number of the unique opens, and we have to multiply it by 100. We always do it with unique clicks and opens. As we know, the recipient can open or click multiple times on our email. The email conversion rate is another interesting metric. The conversion is totally up to you. You have to choose what action are we measuring in the situation. It can be, for example, your client, your recipient clicking on a specific call to action button in the email content. And the number of total conversions must be divided by the emails delivered. So the emails that received an OK status and multiplied by 100, and then we get the percentage rate. What else? This is something that we should measure, especially now in this era after Google and Yahoo giving their restrictive requirements last year, the unsubscribe rate. If we give our recipients an easy way to unsubscribe or even not the easy way to unsubscribe, we should always measure and track who is unsubscribing from which emails and obviously signing them off from our contact base. And what we can calculate in this situation is number of subscribers divided by all of the emails delivered, so all of those that received an OK status, and multiplied by 100 to get the percentage rate. It is very important to track if our campaigns do not generate a number of unsubscribes that are too high, then we should think about reorganizing and doing a list hygiene on our contact base. Oh, and the spam complaint rate. If you use Yahoo Sender Hub or Google Postmaster, then the spam complaint rate is probably calculated for you in the system, and it's easier to track. But if you have the raw data about spam complaints, then you can always divide the number of spam complaints by all of the emails that were delivered, so the ones that received an OK status, then multiply it by 100 and get your spam complaint rate. I will just remind everyone that as for now, to meet all of the Gmail requirements regarding spam complaint, it shouldn't be higher than 0.1%, and it shouldn't be even higher than 0.3%, then they will deem you suspicious. Obviously, we also have ROI. If we know the revenue of a specific email campaign, then we can also calculate that by extracting the total cost of emails and then by dividing it by the total cost of emails, obviously multiplying by 100, then getting a percentage rate. If we know all of this information, and if you use emails, then you will have them. You can also calculate the delivery rate, and it's all of the sent emails minus bounces. So to put it simply, all of the emails that got an OK status divided by all of the total emails sent, so all of them, and multiply it by 100. And if you somehow get to know how many emails got delivered directly to the inbox, then you can also multiply it by all of the delivered emails. So again, OK status, and multiply it by 100. And obviously, if we have delivered emails, we also have undelivered emails. So number of bounces by the total emails sent. And now I would like to tell you more about email statuses as a whole, because we talked about bounces and calculating the bounce rate. So basically, when it comes to types of bounces, we have a hard bounce, soft bounce, and a spam bounce. And hard bounce is something that we already know. It's probably because the email recipient is not active or existing anymore, or maybe there's a typo in the email address. A soft bounce probably occurs because the email recipient's inbox is overflowing and it's over quota. And when it comes to spam bounce, your message was regarded as spam by the email provider, but it also happens when you are not sending often to Microsoft inboxes. Then when you start sending more, Microsoft deems it suspicious, and then the contact must be made to clarify this issue. And all of them together can be used to calculate the bounce rate of your email campaign. What is important is that we have to distinguish delivery rate from deliverability, and the formulas you saw on previous slides. But it is important to know that delivery rate tells you whether an email reached the receiving server, and we are talking about the receiving server only, so an OK status or a bounce. And deliverability, this is telling you if the email was received into the inbox, into the main inbox, maybe to promotions, maybe to notifications, or maybe it was classified as spam. So this is the difference between them two. And yes, now we know what engagement metrics do we have. We know how to calculate them. We know how to track them, and what can we do to make them better, to make them higher. So something we already talked about: email personalization, email content personalization, so that your email can stand out in the email inbox, so that it is not default, like resembling any other email campaigns that maybe similar brands to you are sending to the recipients. The Accessibility Act, and we talked about the Accessibility Act in our Gmail webinar, but I will tell you more about it in a minute. It is important to test sending frequency. There are a lot of articles on the internet on how often to send, when to send, which days, which times in the day, but it is more important to check it on yourself to see when the campaigns were clicked or opened more often, and then maybe trying to replicate it by sending in the exact same time. Database hygiene and segmentation, this is obvious. We are trying to send only to the active recipients. If you see that some of the recipients are not that active anymore, it is wise to apply some sunset policy to them and maybe try not to send so many emails to them for quite some time. Mobile optimization, obviously we want our recipients to be able to open the emails on the web page, on their mobile phone, on an iPad, so that it is easier to access, not depending on the way that they open them. Create a catchy title and tailored content. Well, it depends on the situation, but a catchy title and content always helps when trying to access more recipients. And don't forget A/B testing. And I know that on this slide we wrote, don't forget A/B testing. And on the slide with Apple Mail Privacy Protection, we wrote that A/B testing is not valid anymore. It is maybe not valid anymore, but regarding Apple and iCloud, you should, and we recommend to still using while sending to other recipients than iCloud. And speaking of the EU Accessibility Act, yes, as I said, we already discussed it in great length while during the Gmail webinar. And what does it say? What is it actually? It says that your email content and your email creation and your message as a whole should be easy to access by the recipients with, for example, visual impairment, attention deficiency, neurological illnesses, or maybe some motoric function, some maybe motoric dysfunctionalities. So what should it be? How does this email creation should look like? Well, obviously it should have a good contrast so that it can be read easily. It should not contain any flashy content as maybe GIFs or videos that are loading immediately after opening. The colors must be easy to see, and it must be easy to see by recipients that are photosensitive. If it's possible, you can also adjust it so it can be read by some speech to text, or text to speech, sorry, program, so that it's easier for people with visual impairments. And what you can see on the left side of the slide are some helpful tools that can help you with adjusting your email content. And why is it also important to do it? The more accessible the email content is, the more recipients can can read it, can see it, can interact with your email content, the less frustration it causes, and you as a brand are seen as a sender that is thinking about every recipient that there is. There are also legal requirements that should be met while sending emails. Obviously, RODO is a Polish name, but there's GDPR, so personal data laws, CAN spam and CSAL, so anti-spam laws while sending to USA and Canada recipients, Spam Act, and unsubscribing options, giving your recipients an easy unsubscribe option, and then making sure that when they unsubscribe, you take them out of the contact base in at least 48 hours, because if it's longer than 48 hours, then Gmail will know, and they will notify you in the Google Postmaster panel. And what's new? What are the trends? It's Apple's privacy protection, obviously, and hide my emails is not a new thing. But what we know is that Google is trying to replicate it by launching shielded emails. And what both of these services have in common is that the recipient will not show you their true email address. They can use a fake alias, and then use this alias to, for example, sign for a newsletter, to register on your web page, and then you will not know actually what their true email address is, and all of your emails will be sent only to this fake alias. What's good for the sender in this situation is that a certain recipient can create an additional folder for all of these emails, so it will be easier to recognize them in between all the other email traffic incoming. And so it would be easier to access your emails if somebody uses this alias, for example. The summary cards, the trend is that the emails must be more interactive, easier to access, that we know. And why the summary cards make the email content easier to access? They're summarizing all of the content at the head of at the beginning of an email in an easy way to read. All of the information is in one place. It's easier to understand what the email is about. And the examples that we have on the slide are, for example, an invoice that must be paid and when should it be paid, and a flight ticket from where to where, what hour, what gate. For example, just some event or an order tracking. And obviously, we cannot end this presentation without talking about AI and what can it be used for in email and email marketing. So I know that there's written inbox placement and delivery monitoring, but obviously we are talking more about predicting the trends and analyzing the trends while using our data that was already gathered. And the same goes for the analysis of engagement and behavior of your recipients, detecting any anomalies. If you're not using, for example, email apps to detect any anomalies in email statuses, then AI may help you with that if you provide it with raw data. The predictive database hygiene. It's about predicting how many unsubscribes, probably, or hard bounces there will be in the next campaign. Optimization of content and sending time. This is what we talked about. If we know that there are some days that are better for sending, or if we don't know, and we have some raw data and we have some data about our previous campaigns, then AI may help you to calculate the perfect date to send your next campaign. And when talking about advanced analytics, we mean advanced analytics of, for example, feedback loops that can be sent to you by email providers, and feedback loops are informations about the recipients, marking your emails as spam, for example. What else? We know that this is a webinar about emails, but what if not emails? What should you do? You can always apply an omni-channel strategy, and if you want to reach more of your recipients, to reach them better, you can always help yourself by sending like a buddy push campaign, or for example, a text message campaign to reach recipients better, to make the information more visible for them so that they can get to know the information that you have, the thing that you have to say better. And if you don't know where you can get this omni-channel strategy, then we invite you to test email apps where you can also send push and text messages from the same panel as emails. So this is actually the end. I didn't know that it's going to be so quick. So sorry for that, but if anyone has any questions, then feel free to ask them. I can see that we have a new question. What do you suggest doing in case our previous campaigns went to spam? Well, IP reputation score has been evaluated as good. I'm not blacklisted and I don't have issues regarding DMARC, SPF, etc. Thank you for this question, Marco. It depends. Did it go to spam for all email providers on only the specific ones? Because if it's a specific email provider and it's usually Gmail, well, I am guessing there, then it would be wise to register with Google Postmaster and adding a DNS record for the domain, because your IP reputation may be good and your domain reputation may also be good. But people and recipients may mark your emails as spam, and the spam complaint rate might be higher than 0.3%. And then Google is thinking that your emails are suspicious and they are automatically putting them in spam. And then when you know the dates where the spam rate is higher, then you can analyze which campaigns caused it. And if you know which campaigns actually caused it, then you can know how did you, for example, gather the base for it, maybe segment it in a different way, maybe try sending your emails to the active recipients only. If you cannot track their activity by calculating open rate and click-through rate, then you can always track it by, for example, seeing if they're logging into their accounts, if they're making any purchases, and so on. So this would be my general advice in this situation, but I don't know the details, so it's more difficult for me to maybe elaborate more. You're welcome. Yeah, so we will wait for a couple more questions. Maybe they will occur. We'll see. Yeah, I can see that Jakub is typing. Yes, this is true. But it happens because Gmail is a very restrictive email provider, especially since last year when they announced their new restrictions. So it's very easy. It's also very easy to damage your reputation, but it's not easy to rebuild it, but it's possible. A way to avoid getting emails into spam in Gmail were, first of all, proper authentication, then a good way to gather your email base, so double opt-in, checking if you're not having spam complaint rate higher than 0.3%, so using Google Postmaster, unsubscribing your subscribers quickly, so in no more than 48 hours, yes. And I can see that Natalia is sending you our blog post about Gmail, so I will recommend you to read it to get to know us. And it's also very important if you're only starting to send from the new IP address or from the new domain to properly warm it up. So try not to send a lot of emails daily to Gmail at the beginning. Start with a smaller amount and then gradually make it higher until you reach like the maximum volume of the single email campaign. If you want to know how to warm up your IP or your new IP address or a new domain, we also have a blog post about that, or you can also always message us. So feel free to reach us if you have any questions or if you have any issues. Okay. Yes, this is the blog post about email warming strategy. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone has any questions, they'll feel free to message us. And thank you so much for joining me today. I hope it was not too short. And feel free to obviously comment. The webinar will be available in our YouTube channel. You will get an email notification when it's live. So feel free to rewatch and maybe ask some questions afterwards. Yeah, thanks again. Thank you, Marco, for your engagement, and Jakub during today's event. And have a great rest of the day. Thank you. Bye.